Today, I'm with Emer Brady, an expert in empowering women to advocate for themselves. We're going to tackle a challenge that many women face, asking for what we want. We talk about why many women find this tough and, more importantly, how we can overcome this hurdle. The focus in our mini conversation is on the workplace, Emer's zone of genius. Don't be misled, because the principles we talk about apply across all life. Speaking up is an art. I know you agree with me. Now let's find out more with Emer. Hello.
Hey, Danusia. Thanks so much for having me on the podcast. I'm delighted to be here. And this is something that I'm truly passionate about, is helping women learn how to ask for what they want at work. Many women in the corporate world don't know how, or haven't thought about, asking for what they need and want to show up best at work.
It's a very basic proposition, really, isn't it? Ask for what you want, but it reads.
But I think people struggle with it. And one of the things I've observed, Danusia, in my time in this corporate world and working a lot with females, is that they are unbelievable at negotiating for others.
Oh, yes, yes.
Can they negotiate with some of the toughest and biggest clients worth millions of dollars? Sure, not a problem. But will they negotiate for themselves? No. Women, I find, tend to persuade themselves why they can't ask for what they want, which I find fascinating. So in many of the sessions that I've done, I said, well, why don't you ask for that? Oh, I couldn't ask for that. And when you say the question, why could you not ask for that? There's so much that comes back that is an internal story that's been built up over time around that they seen as too aggressive, all those things that we read in, the press or blogs or things like that. And actually, if you don't ask for it, you're never going to get it. But I do think there's an art and a skill around it. But I also think too few women can change that mindset or that dialogue that they have in their head around why they shouldn't do it. And that's the bit I'm passionate about.
So let's talk to that art. What are the components of that art that you talk about?
So some of the things that I talk to are being prepared. When I talk about being prepared, what I'm talking about is watching your language. So being prepared on the type of language that you're using. Everybody takes in information in many different ways. So do you understand how the individual that you're going to talk to likes to take in information? How are they going to hear exactly what it is that you need? So that's using the right language, using it in a way that connects with that individual. And that takes some time to work out what are the words that you're going to use. How do you do it in an affirmative way rather than that, look, I just need 5 minutes of your time, or, could you squeeze me in? That sort of language is really common when women are going to ask for what they need.
Well, it's apologetic for a start, isn't it?
Yeah, it totally is. And it's actually saying this isn't that important. You need to have the focus of that individual, and you need to show them that this is really important to you. There are a number of things that come with that, which is this affirmative language that says, look, I need time with you, and it's quite important. I need to sit down with you and have a conversation around how do I show up best at work and how can you help me? That's a very different conversation to, can we get 5 minutes in your diary? It's a very different tone, right? And I think that's incredibly helpful in starting to unpack those negative associations that you have with asking for what you need in the workplace.
Absolutely. Get yourself aware about the way that the person receives information. So for instance, it's one of the things that I do when I work with people, and I ask them, so how does your boss typically receive things? So, oh, they're a visual person. Well, then you don't crowd them out with a long email that is going to switch them off at sentence 3. So you might start delivering stuff in. I've had people that do spider diagrams. Send them that, because that's how they best receive whatever it is, information. The other thing is obviously this affirmative language, things like taking the word I think I think I'd like to. I think that what's possible is...
Or maybe we could. That's another one.
Exactly. Or maybe, would it be possible to, all these questioning rather than statements?
Yeah, if you're not used to doing this, the first time can feel really daunting and a little bit, you'll be somewhat nervous. And for many people, that means you're going to be verbose or talk too much or tell too much of a story. And if you've done your preparation, then just learning to be quiet and control the nerves will have a very different impact on that individual. And many people, be it at the CEO level or whatever level that you're talking to, don't have a lot of time. So if you're using statements rather than this big explanation about why and how and what it means, and they'll get lost in the story. So the worst case is you go back to where you were before, right? If they say no, yes. no. But actually you don't have it, but there's a huge opportunity you could get it, right? Or halfway to what you want, or at least start the discussion. Have the discussion, let them know that you need more than what you have to show up best at work.
Yes.
And, a little tip for the listeners, I sit on my hands when it's time to be quiet. And it's a physical reaction for me that reminds me now is time to be quiet. And that helps me in terms of memory structures to say, right, time to shut up. That's it. Quiet.
It's brilliant. And even if you go right back to where you were, what has happened is that you've put it on the table. You've said, okay, not now, but I want that. Now you know. This is where I'm looking.
You're planting the seed.
Yes.
At the very least, you are planting a seed that you can water and grow over time.
Yes.
And I plant the seed and start priming. Don't back down on the first negative reaction. It would be my recommendation as well. And this is, I think, Danusia, for me, this is part of the preparation and being clear on what is it you really need, being really clear before you go in within yourself about why this is so important for you. Even the first reaction might be negative, or it might be like, we'll see, or I don't know about that, or straight out, no, that's okay. You got to come back a next time and the next time because you really believe in this, and this is going to make you a better person at work.
Yeah. For some women that I speak with, they don't either believe that they have the time to do this kind of reflection on what I want, what they want, or they don't really know quite how to get at that material.
And I think if you can't do it on your own, then it's time to bring somebody else in who has a different lens and a different filter on you and how you show up at work and what's important to you in their eyes versus what you're feeling internally.
Over the past 20 plus years, I've mentored many hundreds of people in the workplace. Asking for what we want has to be one of the most critical and foundational life skills. Here's Emer again.
I've got two other things I'd love to share with you as well for the listeners. And one is really good listening. And what I mean by that is, if this is a new skill that you're building about asking for what you need or what you want, and you've got some nerves going on, the adrenaline's pumping, a lot goes on when people are talking that you miss because you're processing and thinking, but actually truly listen to what it is that they're saying and potentially even question a little bit further. What do you mean by that? Or can you explain a bit more about that? Those sorts of questions will really help you understand where that individual is coming from and why they're having the reaction they're having as well. And it could be positive, it could be super. If it's a negative one, that helps with the resilience, is trying to listen really well, understand it better from their perspective, because maybe you put the information on the table in a way that doesn't connect with them. And if you're truly listening, you can adjust and move and then present it in a way where they go, oh, so that's what you were saying all along. Yes, I just didn't do it the right way up front. So that listening piece when you're being silent is critical in terms of truly understanding where that individual comes back with.
And I would add listening for what they're saying and listening for what they're not saying.
Correct.
What's your next one?
This is the last one. Have you ever videoed yourself asking for what you want? You can record yourself asking for what you want. And many people cringe at the thought of it, but I'll tell you, when you role play that and do it with someone, you will notice your language patterns, your body posture, your articulation of what it is that you want, your facial expressions when you put it on the table. There is so much richness and feedback in a 3-minute video of you asking for what you need or what you want at work. Review it, get some input from someone you trust around perhaps some tweaks that you can make. Do you have these language patterns of maybe perhaps, if it's possible, could I maybe, do you have those? How do you sit? What's your body posture in terms of, do you look them directly in the eye when you're asking for it? All of that good stuff. It's gold. It's gold.
Even the way that you walk in a room, the handshake.
I love it,
the manner in which you walk in the room and which chair you choose. I literally teach people where to sit. I know that sounds insane. It has massive impact.
How you walk in a room, how you greet people, and where you sit is critical for that impression of who's coming in the room.
And who holds power.
We give it away so fast. And this is where the video helps enormously to say, hang on, I'm worth all of this. And you need to hear that not just verbally, but in how I show up physically too.
One thing we haven't mentioned is, how do others ask in your workplace, corporate, what they want and get it? Like, who do you know that has asked and got it? What were the components to how that happened?
100%, I would be checking out those people that do it well. Internally, I think there's something for me about understanding the culture of the organization. And this is why I said it is a skill, because it's different in every organization dependent on the culture. I really feel passionate about not being scared or doubtful, or bring your best self to the table and know that you deserve it. I think with digging into your culture in your organization, who does it well, check out how they do it well, even have a conversation with them around that if that's appropriate, and they checking in on the reality of what it is you're asking for in the current climate in your organization, knowing that how the person you're going to ask receives information, and going forward in a way that connects with them so that they hear it and don't apologize.
This is such a rich episode, so cram-packed with incredible advice. And I can't thank you enough, because there is so much for listeners to consider here.
And one of the things I'd love to close on, Danusia, is go and ask for what you need or what you want at work on behalf of women everywhere. Because if we all start doing it, then it becomes the norm. And at the moment, it's not the norm. And I think if you can start it, then we can start a momentum together where this just becomes normal with time.
Yeah, it's a domino effect. It is so needed. Thank you so much, Ina. This has been a delight. And I'm feeling all revved up and ready to ask, I have to say.
So am I. Thank you, Danusia, for having me to share some of this with the listeners. I hope they really get benefit from it.
Well, we covered a lot of ground today, from the importance of clear and assertive language to the power of body language and active listening. There's so much to take away from Ina's insights. I encourage you to reflect on what resonated with you most and consider how you can apply these strategies in your own life. Thanks for tuning in. Now, till next time, keep thinking and loving. Take care, everyone.